Okay, hi everyone. I thank you so much for being here tonight. This is session 20, Plan Your Future with Ignite. How has the first 19 sessions gone? Have most of you done all of the other 19 sessions, or have people been jumping in and out? Where are you in your Ignite journey?
I've done all of them.
Great.
Yeah, I only missed one session.
They've been amazing.
That's great. Good, wonderful. Well, this is my second session in a way. I hopped into a session a couple weeks ago just to kind of get a feel for things. I have done Ignite as a participant before and as an instructor, but never through Ignite After Dark. So it's really nice to be here with all of you. Just to introduce myself, my name's Kimberly Russell. I'm a productivity coach up in New York, near Rochester, New York, in the Finger Lakes. I have been doing real estate since 2019. And let's see, what else is there about me? I used to work in higher education at colleges and universities in the Northeast, and then decided to move back to my hometown and start my real estate career so that I could be closer to family. So I do have my doctorate in organizational leadership, and so very passionate about education and about doing everything that I can to make sure that you have the best possible business that you want and that you can have. So I'm super excited to be here tonight, and I really appreciate all of you being here and participating with me. So tonight, like I mentioned, we're going to be covering Plan Your Future. So as we do every time, let's talk a little bit about some of the progress that you've had with the system, the success system from last week. So can someone talk a little bit about some of the things that you've done from last week and how things have?
I guess I'll go. So I think there's two things I can share. The first thing is, as far as this program goes, like I've gotten a much better understanding of how the whole transaction process works on the buyer and seller side. So just having a deeper understanding of that, and just knowing all the different steps it takes to get to the finish line. So that's never. I think that because one of the things we talked about is, leverage as far as like the models in the Red Book, leads, listings, and leverage. I'm starting to learn how to use like other relationships to gain leads. Like for example,
can you tell us more about that? That sounds great.
Sure. So the day I'm a dual career agent. So my day job, I work in the Central Collections Unit for the state of Maryland, and so I talk to people every day who owe money to the state and things like that. So when we have conversations with them, sometimes they may say, "Oh, man, I'm renting right now. It's a lot," and I'm like, "Well, have you ever thought about owning property?" And you kind of just segue into that, and I've gotten at least 2 or 3 leads off of that.
Look at that. That's wonderful. How does that make you feel?
It feels good. It just means that I'm starting to master certain aspects of this game. I still have a lot to learn, but it just means that I'm going the right direction and I'm growing.
Excellent. Thank you, Wilbert.
Sure.
Who else wants to share some of their successes from last week?
I don't know if it's like a challenge, but I think I need to work on my script, a little bit more. Like I think like I'm not able to direct the conversation. I feel like I let the other person on the phone direct the conversation for me, which is not good. So I think like I need to be able to direct the conversation. And sometimes when I'm thrown some objections, like the interest rates are high or I don't have anything saved up yet, so I kind of get stuck. But I know what to say when I'm not on a phone call. But when I'm actually on a phone call, then I get stuck, or I just give up some lame excuses or some lame conversations. And so so I think like I need to be able to listen more and then provide a proper value, proper solution, so that the other person thinks like I'm providing actual value rather than just selling myself. So I think that's kind of a challenge for me.
Interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Shashank, is that how you pronounce your name?
Yes.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. That can certainly be difficult. I think something that I would encourage you to look into is, and it's so hard, especially when we're just starting out, because we only know what we know. But looking at the long-term interest rates and being able to feel confident in saying, yes, you're absolutely right, buyer, that interest rates are certainly higher now than they have been. And if you look historically over the last 20 years, we are still so much lower than historically we have been. You know, I think it's important. I would encourage you to, you know, we're never going to have all of the answers. None of us will. And it's important certainly to listen. But if you have clients who are kind of shifting the conversation or taking it into a direction that maybe you weren't planning on, I think listen to that and address those concerns, and then try and kind of reroute them as soon as you can. You know, it's kind of like if you're driving and the GPS tells you to keep going straight, but you accidentally get off. Well, okay, so you're going to go through that neighborhood for a bit, and then you're going to get back on as soon as you can. And I think that's, you know, I would encourage you to do that. I think, and I would also probably say you're probably doing better than you think you are. I think that oftentimes we are our own worst critics. And so I would imagine that you're probably doing a lot better than you think you are. And, you know, imperfect action beats perfect inaction anytime. So the fact that you're having these conversations is terrific. Anyone else have a challenge? You're welcome. A challenge that they'd like to share.
I do. So I think for me, I am doing this full time, but my previous role was a lot more cybersecurity related. So it was a lot more like stay away, not stay away from the internet, but don't put yourself out there on the internet, because all the different threats in the world that I lived in or worked in, and I did it for a number of years. So having a social media presence really wasn't a big thing. So just staying top of mind and putting myself out there, it's just a big thing that I have to like untrain myself, that mindset that I had, and retrain it again for real estate, because I feel like that's a big part of it. So that's what I've been working on a day-to-day basis.
Right. Gosh, that is a big shift from one world to another world, right?
Yes.
I can see how you would have that mindset, especially when you're talking about security and safety. That always needs to be a top priority for everyone. How have you worked through that? What has that looked like for you? Because that, you know, that can be a big jump.
To be honest, it's been like little strides and just little steps, but a little bit of similar things as Shashank was saying, just knowing the market as well when it comes to just being knowledgeable and confident in it. But as far as like putting myself in social media and putting myself out there, it's just been like little videos. I've been more so starting to kind of just make posts instead of necessarily putting my face out, maybe just information, and then get comfortable with putting myself out. So it's like baby steps.
I think that that's a really smart way of doing it, Maria. I think, you know, especially if you work within your sphere of influence, those are going to be people who you already know and who you're connected to. And so there is a safety level with that versus just out and about and in front of anyone who may see something. Have you thought about using a logo or a slogan or something that's easy to identify you and your business with without it necessarily having to be your face and your image that is out there? Have you thought about that?
No, I haven't. That's interesting.
I think, you know, this is such a relationship based field that we're in, that, you know, having that face-to-face contact is certainly probably preferred in many ways, and it's not always realistic for some folks, regardless of whatever reason that may be, whether it is based on background in cybersecurity or a number of other reasons. And so, you know, I would encourage you to be creative with that and think about what you may be able to do. You know, with that said, I wouldn't have it be like a logo with just a house on it, you know, like you're going to want to be creative and you're going to want to be specific. But that may be a way to help get your image out with some more really specific branding, rather than feeling vulnerable with your face and who you are and being represented in that way.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Of course. Okay. Well, I'm going to swing on back to this. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. So as you all know, today's the final day of Ignite. You've hopefully learned a ton of information, and I'm sure that you know, even though you've learned so much information, that this is just the beginning. We are all lifelong learners, and you're never going to know all the information that you need to know. And so you've learned a lot, and you have a lot more to learn, and that's healthy, and that's to be encouraged. But this Ignite has given you the foundation to build a really big business, and you're going to embark on that journey after today. So we're going to close out the transactions segment by both looking back and looking forward. And we're going to talk a little bit today about finances and having a smart money business. So by the end of today, not only will you have completed Ignite, yay, but you also will understand the importance of running a smart business, money business, to achieve a successful business. Review the success system to understand wins and opportunities, and identify different learning paths available to design your future plan at KW. So, okay, so let's begin by setting our sights on a big future for ourselves. I love a big future. The bigger, the better. We can dream it, we can implement it, and there's a line in The Millionaire Real Estate Agent that says to have a better chance of hitting the target, aim high. Aiming high begins really with thinking big, and that's what today's session is mostly about. So, okay, who can read this quote on the slide out loud for all of us?
I don't mind.
Thank you.
How you think matters. How you think in the beginning really matters.
Great, thank you. What stands out about this quote to you? To any of you?
Almost anything in life is really about mindset or how you think about it.
Mm-hmm. So important. Anyone else?
Yeah, I was just getting how you think shapes your reality, basically.
Mm-hmm. 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 It sure does. Mindset really matters. Throughout Ignite, you've talked about the importance of mindset, because mindset matters. Not just today and not just during Ignite, not just when you're with people who are in real estate, but all the time. It matters every day. Sometimes it's natural that your mindset may be turning to doubt. And these are the times that you need to really be aware of and to quickly correct that. Mindset is within your control. And one of the things that we really focus on is focusing on the controllables. And mindset is one of those. So let's examine where you are now compared to where you were at the beginning of Ignite. So take a moment and kind of tune in internally. So let's think about for a minute, where is your head? Where's your mindset now? Do you feel aligned with where your heart is? Are your feet ready to do the actions needed to have a successful business? Let's think about that for a moment, and then we're gonna come back together, and hopefully a couple people will feel comfortable sharing where they are with things. Anyone want to kick us off with talking about where their mindset is and how they're doing?
I'm definitely more
start.
comfortable. Go ahead.
My mindset is on a lot of different things. In the morning, I have to focus more on real estate instead of the family or myself. So getting that mindset started certainly helps getting the day going and becoming more successful. So.
Gary has a great quote, and it's something along the lines with win the morning, win the day. And it really is, getting right into things, getting that mindset, doing the business, doing what you need to do. And that, overall days are won by having really successful and productive mornings. So, so making sure that you can carve out time for that before the busyness of life sometimes gets in the way, I think is really important. Thank you. Amber, did you have something that you were going to share?
Yeah, I'm definitely feeling more and more comfortable with real estate. I mean, I feel like there's just so much to learn. So the struggle definitely is still there with wanting to know more, but these Ignite classes have really helped with that.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else want to share where their mindset is?
Yeah, this is Latrina. Yeah, for me, I'm like so ready, not just ready to take action. I do, but I think I struggle with boundaries or whatever. Meaning like time blocking and just staying focused on I'm sorry, I'm getting an echo. But yeah, just staying focused and stuff like that. But I really want it, and I know, so my mindset and my heart is in the line or whatever. But if I really want it, I gotta let those outside distractions go. That's where I'm at.
I think that's so important. Thank you for sharing that. I think, what you focus on expands, and being able to really focus on your business and focus on what needs to be done. Doing those things, that's going to be how your business is really going to grow. And through that, there's going to be distractions at times, and there's going to be other things that come up. And it's so important to make sure that you acknowledge things when they come in, and then let them pass and get back to really what's before we move forward. Okay. Okay, so just a reminder, I'm sure this is not the first time that you'll see this, and it certainly won't be the last. But just a reminder that the Keller Williams belief system, along with the 6 personal perspectives, can really help to keep your mindset strong and positive. And so obviously, as we go through these again, really think about perhaps one that you might need to really focus on a little bit more than others. And maybe one that doesn't necessarily resonate as much with you, that maybe it could resonate with you and that you really want to start to focus on. So win-win or no deal, integrity, doing the right thing, customers always come first, commitment in all things, communication, seek first to understand, creativity, ideas before results, teamwork, together everyone achieves more, trust starts with honesty, equity, opportunities for all, and success results through people. So now that you've checked your mindset, now let's go back to your original value proposition. So you've spent 4 weeks just about in your daily success system, time communicating with your contacts, and now let's re-examine the value proposition. all the way from back in week 1. So if you have your participation guide, turn back to the value proposition that you created back in session 4. We're going to take a couple of minutes to review it and to change any of it if you feel that it needs any refinements. And so a couple things that you should ask yourself, and these questions are right up here. Does my value proposition truly reflect who I am, the value I bring, and the benefit my clients will experience working with me? Am I confident sharing my value proposition with my contacts? And if not, how can I make it easier to express my value? So we're going to take about 2 minutes now to find that value proposition that you did from a few weeks ago, and then review it so that we can see if it's still true today or if we need to make some modifications to that. Okay. So who made some changes to their value proposition?
My foundation is still there. I don't have like a full sentence, and it's more or less just, you know, what my strengths are that I bring to the table. But I've been working on it very diligently.
Can you share some of those strengths with us?
Probably the biggest one would be my customer service background. So I also am a dual career agent. So I have, you know, over 12 years of management experience in retail customer service. And then I guess the part about it that I like the most is just like my desire to help somebody with one of the largest purchases that they'll make.
Great. Thank you, Amber. Would anyone else like to share?
I think I would say like I'm a dual career agent, so I'm also a physical therapist. So my strengths would be you know, like integrity and work ethics, and you know, like in healthcare we make sure that every patient gets the same amount of dedicated treatment. So same way I can make sure that all my customers get the same amount of dedicated effort from my side. And also as a KW agent, I have the resources, technology, and the skills to give them the most utmost experience in any transaction that is that will come through me.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so we have talked a little bit about your value proposition. And so now what we want to do is take a look back to the very first Ignite session where we envisioned, or you envisioned rather, what your big life was going to look like. So let's take a few moments to review that, what you wrote for your vision and your future and your big life that day. Is there anything there that you'd like to change after 4 weeks? Were you and are you thinking big enough? Do we need to have something even bigger? Think about that for a few minutes and let me know. I'd love to hear some thoughts on that. Would anyone like to share? Did anyone make any changes to their big life, or were they already thinking really big on the first day?
I would say like I think I have finally figured out what is the true meaning of 80-20 principle. So I can truly focus on the 20% efforts that are bringing the 80% results, because it can be really vague, like how to differentiate what is the 20% efforts. Or maybe like my big vision for my future would be like I finally differentiated and I can you know, outsource the other 80% efforts, and I can focus on the 20% efforts that can bring 80% results to my business.
Absolutely. Have you been able to identify what's in that 20% that can bring that 80% results?
Yeah, I think like the most important is to understand that we are in the lead generation business. So lead generation comes out at the top. So we really need to focus on that, and everything else comes second. So that is definitely in the top 20%.
Absolutely. Thank you. Anyone else? I think as we think about our big life, something that's important, at least to me, is when you're thinking about in order for you to have that big life that you are envisioning for yourself, you really need to be realistic about your income, and even more specifically about your profit goals. You need to think big. And one thing that Gary says in the MREA, one thing all high achievers have in common is that they're working for a big why. The big why is about having a purpose, a mission, or a need that in turn gives you focus. So on day one, you talked about the big why, and we know that it takes time for each of us to think about and determine a really concrete big why for ourselves. Moving forward after Ignite, it's going to be essential for you to have a really clear picture of your big why, since it's going to keep you motivated and on track to meet your goals. As the quote says, it's your purpose, mission, or need that gives you that focus. So let's dig into this a little bit more. So your big why is big, really big. It's important to you. It's what gets you out of bed every morning and gets you excited to be busy, brings you energy and focus. We've already talked a little bit about some focus today. It's kind of the ultimate turbocharger. It gives you that oomph. It gives you that boost that you need. And the thing that's really neat about your big why is that it's already present, even if you haven't thought about it. Your big why can be really big, or it can be a small big. It doesn't matter. It's really whatever is driving you. Your big why should incorporate all the people in your life and the good that you can provide for them. So I want you to turn to your participant guide to answer these questions, and then write out a big why for yourself. It's really important to try and get clear on what matters to you, and then to write it down so you can visualize that, take action on that. So some things that I'd like you to think about and write about: what topics or causes are most important to you? What gives you energy and fuels you personally? What is something that you would do even if you were not paid? And lastly, what do you envision for yourself and for your future? I will write those in the chat in case anybody needs to see those. Okay, so in order to have a big life, we need to have a big why, as our big why really is what powers our big life. A great aspect of the big why is that it's going to help you determine what to say yes to and what's important, and then what to say no to, and the things that aren't a part of your big why. So I'll share a little bit about myself. For me, my big why is my family, my parents. I lived in a couple of big cities and had a pretty big job in a lot of ways, and was kind of on the fast track in a lot of things. And then my father's health became a little up in the air, and I found myself making the drive from New York City to Rochester, New York every weekend. And I just kind of found myself wondering why I was doing this, and why I was staying in a job when I really just wanted to be closer to home and wanted to be able to be there for my parents a little bit more. And so I have decided, or did decide back in 2018, to kind of give all of that up and move back home, and wanted a job that had a lot more flexibility and that I was able to do from home, and that I was able to create my own hours with. And so that's really my big why. That's why I got into real estate. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing, is because I wanted to have a career that would allow me to be able to spend more time with my parents, because my father is 87 years old, and I know that that time is going to become pretty limited pretty soon. And so, or is limited now, I guess. And so for me, that's my big why. Does anyone else have a big why that they'd like to share with the group?
I didn't realize how many whys I had until I started writing them down. But I guess probably one of the biggest ones for me would be like more of like financial independence and being able to like determine my own earnings as opposed to, you know, making a certain dollar amount an hour, you know, working.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing about real estate, is there's no limits with that. And once you get into profit share and those sort of things, man, there really is no limit. Thank you for sharing that. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to share? Okay. Well, thank you for sharing. Let's take a moment. What are some of your ahas about mindset and your future and your big why? I do have all your names right here in front of me. I can see them all, even those who have their screen turned off. I still see your names.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. I was just wondering what your ahas are about mindset and about your future.
I guess once it goes, really it's like, I guess the way I sum that up is, you know, positive thoughts breed positive results. And of course, negative results give you negative consequences. You know, so if you have, you know, any doubt in your mind, it's going to be that anchor that kind of holds you down, because it's always that thought in the back of your mind. But if you wake up each day with that mindset that, you know, nothing can get in my way, you know, or nothing can stop me, then, you know, that's basically what you get. It's like, it's kind of like a mindset you got to manifest.
Absolutely. What you focus on expands. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Anyone else? One more.
I came across a quote from John Maxwell, and he was like, to be truly transformed, you have to lead an intentional life. He was like, most people, they just accept their lives, whereas to be truly transformed, you have to like lead an intentional life, lead with intention. So that way you have to change your mindset. And you know, like he was like, there's no books on accidental achievements. All the books are intentional achievements. So that really makes sense. You know, like you have to be disciplined and intentional in whatever you choose to do.
I couldn't agree more. That intentionality is so important. Thank you. So we are going to talk a little bit about running a smart money business. And it really is the intention that each one of you achieves the goals that you've set out with and end up being highly successful in this business. So with that, I just want to ask a real quick poll kind of question. Who out of this group loves accounting and keeping business books in order and saving for and then getting to pay your taxes every year? Who out of this group loves doing all of that business stuff? No one, right? Very few agents do. You're probably in this business because of other reasons and other great skills that you have. You enjoy working with people. You have great customer service. You have great sales skills. You want to help others. And so given that, many of us lack really some really important money management skills. So we're going to start with some financial knowledge. And don't worry, you certainly don't need to be an accountant or a tax advisor. You just need to work with this. So remember this, your 6 big jobs. Well, we're going to be learning, you've been learning a lot about 1 through 5, and now the very last class, we get to talk a little bit about managing your money. You're going to get paid, right? That's the point. You get paid, you get money for all this hard work that you're doing to help your buyers and your sellers transact the business. That's what you're here for, after all, to develop a big business, get some money. I have a birthday coming up in April. You're all going to want to send me gifts. I know it. And so we need to get you into production so that you can do that. You need to make some money. And so it's going to be really important for you to be able to manage some of that money. So it's really important to remember that getting paid in the real estate industry is different than the salary that you may currently get if you're a dual career agent, or that perhaps in the past you had. The check that you get upon closing a deal is not to be put in your pocket and spent immediately. There's going to be expenses to pay, and there's those taxes that we spoke about that need to be saved for and paid, likely every quarter, if you decide to do it that way and not annually. So you get a commission check, you get money, which is awesome. Yay, so exciting. Oh dear. So, okay, where does this go? 50% goes to the other agent. A third likely goes to your market center to cover the company dollar, franchise royalty, and fees. Another third goes back to your business to cover marketing, operating expenses, signs, miles on your car, your phone, anything else you need to conduct and grow your business. And then don't forget, you need to, oops, I was supposed to do that. You need to save for and pay taxes. And so then finally you get your part. So it's a little different than when you're thinking that you're going to get the whole check in the beginning, because a lot of that gets taken out. And so it's really important to have strong habits to start now. And it's one is to always put money away for your taxes first. There are so many stories of highly successful agents who did not have this habit and then ended up with a huge tax bill and then penalties to pay at the end of the year. And that's really terrible. You don't want to be in that situation. There is a great class on Keller Williams University. There's a course called Profitability, Agent Financials. I would really encourage you to take it. It's so important to make sure that you get your money lined up and in the right spot, because you don't want to be in a bad spot with that. So, okay, let's take a look at this example. There's 2 different scenarios of a transaction closed by a solo agent, Jessica Campbell. That's her name. Her share of the commission is $9,000. Not bad. That sounds awesome. Okay, so look at your participant guide and study the 2 scenarios. And then I want to ask you a couple of questions, and I want to hear from you what you think the answers are. So the $9,000 commission that Jessica receives, would you call that profit, or is that income or revenue? Can you put the answer in the chat so we can see what everyone's thinking? Awesome, great, okay. Income, you're absolutely right, income or revenue. That's why it's called GCI, it's your gross commission income. So the profit is what's left over to grow your business, to save for taxes and fund your personal lifestyle and birthday gifts for me. It's important to know the difference between income and profit. So, question, why is Jessica getting a check for $5,760 for commission of $9,000?
And because of brokerage fees?
Ooh, what was that?
I'm sorry, because of brokerage fees?
You got it. Yep. Market center fees, they're deducted before Jessica's check is cut. Can you guys see the PowerPoint still?
No, it went off.
No.
No.
Oh my gosh, this is driving me insane. Okay. Hope I don't. Sorry, everyone. This is okay. I'm gonna keep asking questions. Okay. So out of those two scenarios, if you can remember them, here we go. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay. But it's not like big, right? It's just small.
Right.
No, it's yeah.
Okay.
It's not
We're
in
getting there.
slideshow format.
There we go, maybe. Okay, we're back at it. Okay, which scenario is financially sound? The first one or the second one?
Second one.
Yep. And that's the one where she puts 30% of her where she puts 30% of her income or revenue into her business account to pay for her expenses. She saves for taxes so she can pay them on time when they're due. So in this scenario, Jessica's saving 40% of her income for taxes. This may seem like a high number, and obviously I am not an accountant. That's not why I got into this business. And so you should always check with a CPA to determine the rate at which you should save for taxes. Most agents really receive little or no guidance on how to handle their money or handle their first or any commission checks and end up in that first scenario. And I don't want that to be any of you. And so really make sure that you talk to someone to see exactly what you're doing, because it's important to incorporate these financially sound business practices into your business from the start so that you have a habit that you keep on doing and that you can stay right on track with. So now that we have a clear understanding of the importance of being financially sound, with that said, what is the purpose of business? Why are we doing this? Not just to help people.
Make money.
Money, money, money. Profit, right? You want profit so you can build a big life. With profit, you have the money to do good for your family and for your community. As Gary says, money is good for the good it can do. So keep that in mind. Think about what good will you have your money create for you. You go back to it and think about your big why. Think about how money can really impact that. So let's explore the difference between income and profit and how the way you think of it can change the outcome of your business. So if you've taken an accounting class, you probably know the formula commonly used to calculate the profit of your business, which is income minus expenses equals profit. So while the formula to calculate profit is important, it's not the model that we use to set and track our profit goals each month, quarter, or year. Instead, we ask ourselves the following strategic questions. What is your goal? How can I minimize expenses to maximize net income? And how many homes do I need to sell? So if we look at those three questions from a profit, income, expenses relationship, that's going to be really important. And that way, it keeps us focused on the profit rather than on income. So just to be clear, our real estate income comes from four main things, four main funnels. Listing income from all of your transactions with your sellers, sales income from your transaction with your buyers, referral income for any portion of commission due to the referrals that you've given other agents. And I really hope, as a side note, that you're all connected so that you can all be in each other's referral networks and be able to build great big businesses together. Leasing information. So if you help them find property for that they end up leasing, you get income from that as well. So let's talk a little bit about expenses. There's two main types of expenses. You have cost of sales and you have operating expenses. The cost of sales, which is the first column there, that only occurs when you have a transaction. Operating expenses occur every day that your business is in operation, whether you are selling or buying or getting a commission check or not. So it's really important to understand that the cost of being in business with the Market Center. The cost of sales are the company dollar, royalty, and any referral fees owed to referring partners. If you have employees involved in the transaction, then these expenses will fall under the cost of sale as well. The company dollar that agents pay is determined by each Market Center and will vary by each Market Center. Royalty, though, is capped at $3,000, which is a rate determined by KWRI. You're also going to have operating expenses. These are the expenses that you incur to run your business, whether you're earning anything or not. And you can see that list right there. Again, just to be clear, when you have no transactions, there are no cost of sales. However, you're always going to have those operating expenses that you're going to need to cover. So you should see this checklist of best practices in having a smart money business in your participant guide. This list is a really great way to put yourself on a path that will ensure your financial well-being. So you may be able to check off the first item on this list, given your experience now in determining your big why. So go through the list and let's talk briefly about a couple of these that we think are going to be really important. Let's think about who we may be able to, who you may be able to know that can help you. For example, if there's an attorney or a CPA or an accountant who you know. So as you look at some of these best practices, is there anything that stands out to you?
I guess opening like your additional bank accounts for taxes and expenses, because you don't want to get your like your business expenses and your tax expenses mixed up with like your regular, everyday expenses like your bills for home.
Absolutely. Yep. Anything else? That's a great one.
Find a good CPA or an accountant who can advise on the best practices.
For sure. Yep. It's another really good one. So think and act the wage you want before you earn it. Average is as average does. Gary says all of this in his shift book. And good is as good does. And great is as great does. So what you do is who you become. How does this sound? How does this make sense to you? Does this resonate with any of you?
Yes, it goes back to mindset.
Absolutely.
If you think you're gonna be, if you think average, you'll be average. If you think big, you'll be big.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about income goals. I believe that you talked about this a little bit in session 1. So are you thinking and acting the wage that you intend even before you've earned it? Are there any changes that you'd make now after working on your success system and learning so much about the real estate sales business? Any comments or thoughts on that? I would encourage you, if you have time, perhaps at the end of this, or perhaps tomorrow at the same time, since you don't have an Ignite class, to really go through this and really look at this and think, are you being as big as you can be? What happens if you take that net income goal and if you increase it by 50%? Then what might happen? Think big, think even bigger, Take where you are and make that even bigger. I want you all to have the big life and the big business that you each can have and that you want. So now that you have a fair understanding of your finances and how to have a smart money business, let's talk a little bit about how to get paid. So you're going to want to make sure that you talk with your market center administrator, your own productivity coach, team leader, or your market center tech trainer on the process. And then you're going to want to make sure that you do everything through command. You submit your commission requests and opportunities. This process does require agents to create an offer and accept an offer before being able to submit a commission request. So I'm going to put in the chat, if I can pull it up without losing everyone, because sometimes everybody goes away when I do this. Answers.kw.com. So if you go to this website, and if you search commission request, you will be able to see the steps that are needed in order to submit all of your commission steps in order to get paid. So what are your ahas about running a smart money business? Are there any questions? What's everyone thinking? Does this make sense?
I like the idea with my bank account. I can set up it's in the same account, but I can set up a separate line and just put money in there so I don't have to worry about my taxes.
Absolutely. That's what I do.
Yep, I did that.
It's the way to do it. Set it and forget it.
Mhm.
Anyone else?
Let's see. Oh, I guess I'll say this because we just talked about commission. I guess best practice for that is at every step of the transaction, when you're getting documents on, make sure you upload those to command immediately so you can increase your chances of being paid. You know, maybe even if it's not the day of closing, like right around that time, because the last thing you want is to have to submit all these documents and check them again for compliance, and then that just delays the payment process. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. So moving along, I want to talk next a little bit about committing to the success system for life. So learning new processes is a process in and of itself, and the daily success system has been a new process for you. You've learned some ways of doing business, and undoubtedly you have had some wins, some things that went well and opportunities, and probably some areas of improvement, like with any new process. So take a minute and think a little bit about some of the wins and opportunities from your experience with the success system. This is just for you. I'm not going to ask, I'm not going to call on people, although I would like a couple of people to share. But I'd like to hear about what has gone well with this and where maybe you've struggled and how we can help you so that you can be successful in all of these areas. So I'll give you 2 minutes to reflect and to write some of that, and then we'll share for a couple more minutes.
you asked which one of these have we had success with, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Well, for me, the social media engagement, I've had some success with that. I have
Great.
I did get a lead off of that. maybe about a week
Wonderful.
ago or so, or about 2 weeks. No, 2 weeks ago. I'm sorry, it's 2 weeks ago. I think the one thing I do got to work on though, the handwritten notes. I haven't really engaged. I haven't done that yet, so I'm not sure
Mhm.
exactly. Is that something that I would just like? I'll write that to somebody if either I'm trying to get in touch with them or if I'm just just reaching out to see how they're doing.
So that one's not as comfortable for you?
I mean, it's just not something I've really got into. I'm not really one that writes notes. I may start. I may start doing that with like expired listing because one thing that one of the other teachers said is that like when it comes to your method of lead generation, you want to have a system for that. Like
Absolutely. Mhm.
so like he said that one agent had the idea of okay, if I try to cold call and I leave a message and I don't get back, I don't get in touch with them, send them a letter, maybe 4 or 5 days later, and just kind of
Mhm.
right. And then after that, if you don't get a response after that, maybe go door knock or something.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Uh,
I think having a system and then using that system is a great way to do that. And whether that means calling and then sending a note and then door knocking or whatever is best for your area and makes sense for your area and obviously follows any state or local laws that you have. That's going to be super important for sure. I would also encourage you to think about handwritten notes as uh, there's different ways and times of the year that you can implement that too. So, you could drop in a note to someone who maybe you write a note or send a card to someone who you maybe don't want to necessarily talk on the phone with or those kinds of things, but you just want to stay in contact with. I wouldn't underestimate the value of sending a St. Patrick's Day card or a, spring is here card or those kinds of things to some people in your database, especially if it's something that you don't typically do. It's just another way to stay top of mind. And especially if you don't do it often, it probably will encourage them to reach out to you. And as realtors, we all love when our phone rings and we don't have to make the calls ourselves. So, I would think about some of those things like what is going to be a way that someone's going to say, wow, I haven't gotten a card from this person in years. I can't believe they actually did this. I better call them and see what's going on. I think that's, I wouldn't underestimate that. So something that is really important is accountability. As Gary Keller has said, and other people have said as well, no one succeeds alone. And so, the importance of accountability, keeping your mindset focused and positive, reminding you of your big why, challenging you, making you uncomfortable at times. And one of our 6 personal perspectives is being accountable. And so when we look at different forms of accountability, there's a lot of them out there. Could be your accountability partner if you have someone that you're working directly with. Could be your productivity coach in your market center, a mentor. You could have a MAPS coach. Many of us find it very hard just to stay accountable to ourselves. And so being held accountable with someone else oftentimes can make a really big difference and can really help. So when you're choosing an accountability partner for the future, choose someone who is comfortable with discomfort. Accountability isn't always comfortable, and your partner needs to be willing to make you uncomfortable and willing to sit in that discomfort. Choose a partner who's going to help you stay accountable. They're going to do things that are going to be both the carrot and the stick for you, so to speak. So you may think that you can't afford to have a coach. However, paying for coaching is something that has proven to be highly successful for many agents, even in their first year of the business. Agents with coaching tend to make up the cost of coaching with their increased earnings. Of course, an important component of any kind of accountability coaching is to respect it, follow it, and be grateful for it. So some tools that I would encourage you to really use: the 411, time blocking, And then the book, The One Thing by Gary Keller, that really has done great things to help people stay focused on your big why and your one thing. So I would really think about your accountability and what that looks like for you moving forward.
Before we go too much further, can you go back a page and talk about enrichments a little bit?
Right here, this one?
Yes.
Okay. So who can talk a little bit about enrichments? Let's open it up to everyone.
Oh, I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked the question. Thank you. Anyone want to take a stab at it?
Actually, Ms. Kimberly, when you say enrichment, could you clarify what that term is?
I think that's exactly what Stephanie's question is. It was Stephanie, right? Did I read that correctly?
Yes, yes.
I think that's the question. Does anyone know what enrichments are? Wow. I am so glad that we are talking about this. No one? Not a one. Okay. So enrichments, where's my thing? Here it is. Okay, so these are things, this is your daily success system, right? So these are things that you should be doing on a daily or regular basis. The first ones, obviously, we encourage you to have 10 conversations, to add 10 contacts, 10 handwritten notes every day. It's important for you to also be engaged in social media. Enrichments are things that you do that are above and beyond that and are unique opportunities for connecting. So pop buys, are you familiar with that phrase? Where you may, you may drop off a, I did this once. I got seeds at the Dollar Tree for 10 packages of seeds for $1 back when it was only $1, not $1.25. And they were forget-me-nots for those pretty little blue flowers that people can plant. And I dropped them off at my clients' homes. I guess it was probably actually right around now or in a couple weeks from now, as like a happy spring, thinking of you. Thank you for, I think I said something really cheesy because that's me. I think I said something like, thank you for helping my business bloom, or something cheesy like that. So enrichments, like things that are just kind of above and beyond, not things that you're doing constantly, but just ways, another touch point and another way to stay top of mind. Does that make sense?
Yep.
These are not things that you would be doing daily. I mean, lovely if you do, but that's probably not in anyone's budget to do that kind of stuff daily. But just things that are pop buys, or things that you are doing to stay top of mind that aren't that just are kind of above and beyond.
Oh, so just like giving out gift cards if you know your client likes coffee or whatever, or if he likes NASCAR or whatever,
Yeah.
All right, I understand.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Yeah, those kinds of things. Just something that's like a little something extra, a little extra boost. Not something that happens all the time. Maybe you have a contest. Maybe you have a who can send me a referral contest, and that winner gets something. Anything along those lines. Just something that goes a little above and beyond is a fun something extra that you do. Stephanie, does that help?
Yes.
Great. Okay, I want to So being learning based, obviously there's a lot of different paths for learning. Learning more about your local market, previewing homes so that you're an expert on the inventory. There's a lot of learning and education that takes place at Keller Williams. We have 2 large training events every year. We have Family Reunion, which is where I am right now in California. That's held in February every year. And then we have Mega Agent Camp, which is in August. These can really help propel your business to new heights from all the learning and networking that you've experienced. There's also so many books that you can read, podcasts you can listen to. This is a learning-based process and industry that we're in. And I would really encourage you to really dive into that and to constantly be learning and adding information so that you can stay sharp and on top of things.
Okay, so on the commit to success system sheet, it says adding enrichments to daily learning.
So I would think about what that means for you. So for instance, you could subscribe to different newsletters and read different articles that come out each day. You could listen to podcasts. You could try to read a new book each month. You could have a book club within your market center. I'm a big reader, so I've always loved those kinds of things. You could talk to your lender, have a brown bag lunch with your lender and talk about things. That's kind of where that goes.
Okay, that's what I was talking about. That helps a lot. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So there's so many different courses that you can tap into that Keller Williams offers. And these are things that are beyond just what your market center offers. Some of these are available on demand. Some of them have a fee, some of them don't, but there's so much information that's out there. I would really kind of think about looking into all of these things and thinking about, gosh, what's an area that I really want to grow and expand on, and what would make sense for me to listen to, and what course would make sense for me to participate in order to sharpen that skill. And so whether it's mindset and accountability, making sure that you understand command, your finances, like we've talked about, there's so much information that's out there that I really would encourage you to dive into and to participate in some of these classes. Does anyone have any questions on any of these courses? I don't know about all of them, but I'm certainly happy to speak a little bit about the ones I do. Okay. Plan for learning. So I would really think about what you can accomplish in the next 12 months. So if we were to meet and have another meeting on the last day of Family Reunion while I am trying in my hotel room in Las Vegas, because that's where it's going to be next year, if we all regather and we say, gosh, what have you learned in the last 12 months? What are some things that you want to be able to share with the group? Or do we just want to make money? Just fine.
I think I would want to master lead conversion or whatever, master that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Do you have ideas on how you can best do that, or what that looks like for you?
have a lot of conversations. Masters practice with script practice, I believe so.
Yeah.
And I think really just doing it, then the better you get at it. I feel like, I don't know.
The more you do it, the better you get, for sure. Anyone else? Okay. I think it's important for us to review the mission of Keller Williams. And so, as we know, Keller Williams' mission is to build careers worth having, businesses worth owning, lives worth living, experiences worth giving, and legacies worth leaving. Ignite has set you on a path to build your career worth having and your business worth owning. However, that path doesn't end here. You have other destinations on that journey. You have a life worth living. You have experiences worth giving and legacies worth leaving. So I would really take some time and think a little bit about what that looks like. What are those experiences worth giving that you want to be able to provide? What does a legacy worth leaving mean for you? And what does a life worth living really mean for you as well? I would think a little bit about that, so that the more clear you can be about that, the easier it can be for you to really aim for that. So in the shift book, Gary says, get real about your situation and get right about what you're doing. Bring a greater sense of clarity, priority, and focus to your work. He said something at a family reunion a few days ago that really I thought was really great. I had heard it before, but he said, you know, a lot of times we really enjoy the freedom and the flexibility that comes with being a real estate agent. However, we don't always like the fact that we need to treat it like a job, like a job. And so really staying clear on that sense of focus and your priority, and appreciating the flexibility that we have and the reasons why we entered this field, while also remembering that this takes work and we have to put in the work and do the grind so that we can have those lives worth living that we want and the experiences worth giving. And it's just so important. So before our final exercise of this course, let's kind of take a look at this and really think about this. What does this quote mean for you? What speaks to you? What do you think about when you see this? Are there things in your business or in your life that you think, gosh, you know, I'm not doing X in order to get Y and I really should be? Is there anything that comes to mind?
I think for me, the first thing I look at, that first phrase, be real about your situation. As a dual career agent, I start to think like, man, am I happy with the way life is going on right now? You know, am I happy with having to wake up every day and be at a place I don't want to be for 8 hours?
Yeah.
You know, that's the first thing that sticks out for me. And what can I do to change that?
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that.
Something that made a difference for me was when I realized, even though everybody talks about, oh, the flexibility that we have, we work when everybody else is off.
Yep.
You know, so evenings, weekends, holidays, those are our work times.
Yep, they sure are.
And once I made peace with that, because one time someone called me and wanted to see houses on a big major holiday, a big family holiday. And I called my friend and I said, I can't believe they want me to come out today and see houses. And she said, but you can go for a couple of hours and make thousands of dollars. And your family will still be there when you get back. And that changed my perspective.
Thank you for sharing that. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. It's tough. It's tough working in the summer when everyone else is out and about and at gatherings or sitting at the pool or doing whatever, right? It's really tough. And it's not tough when you remember your big why. It's not tough when you remember, God, you know, I am making a life that I want and a life that is important to me. And if I do this in the best possible way, I can really have the life that I want to have. You know, I also, you know, and this is something that I really want to make sure that you all think about and recognize. You know, where I am up in near Rochester, New York, there are a lot of agents who are happy and willing to go and take care of a showing for us, and to do that for $25, $50, depending on the day, depending on the notice, depending on how far away it is, all of those kinds of things. You know, leverage, there is a certain bit of it where, you know, yeah, we all had to and have to put in our time on those big family holidays, and we have to do what we have to do, right? And that doesn't mean that you can't see if someone else can cover things for you, right? You can leverage things as soon as you want to in this business. If it's more important for you to do X on any certain day and your client calls, you can see if someone else can cover things for you. That's not something that you have to necessarily earn the right to do. Now, at some point, you know, you may not be able to always get someone to cover for you. And so you may have to do things. And yeah, that stinks and all that kind of stuff. But we've all been there and all that. But man, if there's nothing wrong with you know, having someone that you partner with, and just because it's a big day for you doesn't mean it's a big day for everyone. Someone else may be very willing to help out. And so, you know, you should feel empowered to do that just as much as anyone. Okay, so as you're looking at your future, I really want you to think about, you know, what the next 12 months are going to look like, and really think about all of these aspects that go into designing your future. I would think about this. I would, that you should have a table in your participant guide that you can either remove and put it by your work area, or take a picture on your phone and have it as a screensaver. But really focus on some of this to help you stay focused and on track for your success. So how are you feeling? How are we all feeling? You guys have just almost in just a moment or so really finished really an amazing thing, going through Ignite After Dark and being able to learn and grow so much. How's everyone feeling about things? I want everyone to write at least one word of how they're feeling in the chat. Overwhelmed and excited. Yep. Hyped. I love it. Overwhelmed. Ready to build my business. I love it. Motivated. Lots of motivated. Good. Those of you who wrote down overwhelmed, I get it. It's a lot. It is a lot. And think about how far you've come in just the last 4 weeks or so. I mean, my gosh, capable. I love that. I love that. I love all of these. You know, I think as we begin to feel overwhelmed, I think it's important to think about, you know, what are the things that we can do? What's your one thing that you can do that is really going to make the biggest impact in your business? And do that. There's a million things you could do that could have a big impact on your business. That's cool. What's the one thing that you're going to do? It can be easy to be so overwhelmed. And I really just want to make sure that you all know, like, if you just dig down and dig in and do it, you're going to be so successful. The people that my friends and my family and everyone know that I say this all the time, but like, imperfect action beats perfect inaction every single day. Like, just try things and put in the time and you're going to be so, so successful. I just, yeah, you're just going to really crush it. I'm just like so excited for all of you. Oh dear. Am I still here? Can you see me? Here I am. I just really want to thank you all for participating in this. You finished this huge thing. I mean, this is huge. This has been a big commitment, and I'm so excited to see that so many of you are excited and feeling more prepared and motivated in order to move forward. Does anyone have any final questions or anything that that I can maybe provide some insight or answer for you, or that your peers and colleagues might be able to help with? Any lingering questions or anything along those lines?
Ms. Russell, you have any contact information just in case, like for referral purposes or anything like that?
Absolutely. Yep. I will add that into the chat. I have a one final thing for all of you as well. For those of you who may be excited about this. So before I do that, does anyone?
Can't hear you.
Really? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Any other final questions? Anything else?
I'm overwhelmed by command. It seems to be the key, but it's not real intuitive.
I get that. I'm not an expert on command either, by any means. I have used command in areas that I have had to, and then I've been able to add it in, all of the bells and whistles that actually do make things easier for me. For me, when I was starting out, if command, there are certain parts of command that you have to use in order to get paid. And once you do those a couple of times, I have found that it's not super difficult, that part of it. What I have tried to do that may be helpful is really just dig into a couple things and to learn a couple things really well and then add more. I'm sure if I had added and really taken a lot of time with command, I probably would really have seen my business really explode and get huge. For me, though, also that just wasn't my priority because I was also very overwhelmed by it. So I would just do what you can do and do what you need to do and add in pieces as you go. Like this may be an unpopular opinion, but and listen to whatever your coach says instead. But I don't think learning and mastering command is the most important part of your business.
Thank you. Very helpful.
But if your coach doesn't like that, just forget my name and don't say that that was me, okay? Just kidding. I just don't. I don't think it's the most important part. Don't let it stress you out. Mm-mm. So what I want to make sure that we do, I know that lead generation obviously is a big part of everyone's business. And so here's what I am going to do. I'm going to put my contact information in the chat right now. Oops. And here's how this is going to work. I'm going to have a contest for all of you. And the contest is going to run for the next 24 hours. So from now until 24 hours from now, which will be really interesting because I'm flying from the West Coast to the East Coast tomorrow.
You're breaking
So
up.
here's what I want you to do. I want you to reach out. You can get a referral from that are currently in your database. So reach out to your database and ask them who they know that may be looking to learn more information about real estate in the next 6 to 9 months, or 6 to 12 months if you want. Once you get those names, keep track of it. And what I want you to do is send me a text tomorrow within 24 hours with how many new names and contact information you've got. And the person who has the most will get a Starbucks gift card from me. Anyone interested in the game? No? Okay, I'll just drink my own Starbucks. Thanks, Latrina. Okay, so that's the game. Y'all have my cell phone. Feel free to call or text or email if you need anything.